next qualitative method of analysis that I wanted to talk to you about is called template analysis. Template analysis sounds obviously much more structured. In some ways it is, but not in every way. So in some ways it is actually more open than the thematic analysis as a method. So for example, the two are very different in one thing, and it is that in template analysis you do not do all the coding before you do the structuring. Now the other flexibility of the template analysis that you might even have some initial part of the template that is coming from the literature. So for example, you read about the diabetes, as I used in the previous example, and we had all sorts of distinctions. For example, that there are personal, social, and behavioral, and I don't know, whatever kind of factors, and these different factors then were further divided. So this is something that was brought from the literature, so we can start with that. And then if you put this in, for example, the software, you can decide whether you are coding with the lowest level or with the higher level codes. Usually it is worth coding with the lowest level because you can always move everything to the higher level. The other way around is not so easy. So basically what you normally do is that you choose a subset of your data. So I don't know, you conducted 10 interviews, you choose 3 of them, and you code these 3. And once these 3 are coded, you consciously sit down to develop a coding template. This will not be set in stone because obviously the remaining interviews might give you something else. The same way, if you started from on the basis of the literature, you can also modify it during the process, but you will have something that is more or less structured to work with. So the codes and the themes in this, so first you see some of the codes as you started coding, you start grouping them, you start shifting them around, you move that, you get some sort of structure, you continue your analysis, you assign additional codes to bits of text in the other interviews. That way some new codes appear, then you see that these are more similar, so you start shuffling them around again. So that's why it is quite useful if you have these things at the defined, so the coding done at the lowest level of the hierarchy. So here is I listed what are those things that you can do after you have the initial template. So you can add new ones, you can delete previous ones, you can merge them, you can change them, and also you can change what they mean. So what the scope, what they apply to, so what the scope of the particular codes are. So all these things, basically you can do anything, but it is normally done the way that then you have some level of record of how you were doing the changes. So those who like to have a structure early on, they very often prefer this approach. So some feel that there is too much structure, that it is not allowing you enough freedom, because obviously you can change the initial template, but it also means that you need to explain why it was changed, how you changed, and so on, and that's not the most exciting part of the analysis. So see, these are two very different approaches, and in some sense one is more open, in some other sense the other one is more open.